Hey, so this video is about MK Ultra. It's been very hard to make this video. It's stressful. Um, Recently, I think this past month, within this last month, some of the Canadian victims and the survivors and their families went to court again, or not again, but they went to court and they don't want compensation. They want like a public apology. And they're using a lawyer, Alan Stein, who has taken many of these cases, class actions regarding MK Ultra, and has been successful. So any of you that don't believe that the government is capable of anything, anything, because these experiments are really fucking crazy. Yeah, they're capable of doing anything to us in secret. You know, this program just tells you that. So if you don't believe in that, go look up MK Ultra if you're that new to this type of thing, because this is no conspiracy. This is real. And what I have playing in the background here is a bunch of victims. I'll go back to the beginning, because I forgot to mention that. It's just a video. I'm not playing the sound or whatever. I don't know if it's copyrighted or whatever, but these are all people asking the president back then, Clinton, to stop the experiments. So these experiments here, I'm just going to give a good background on this. And I can't get into too many of the details. It's just too disgusting. Some of these things that they did were so horrible. Did Satan himself direct this? I would like to know. I know anyway. Only Satan could orchestrate this kind of shit. So it's a program that was, that sounds so stupid. Directed by the CIA and OSI, which is Office of oh God, here we go again. Office of Special Investigations, which is like the CIA of the Air Force. Yeah, so from the 50s to the 70s, and a lot of victims, and people still say it's going on today, and of course it is if you just look at it. Geez, after you learn some of this stuff. So they were trying, they say, which some of the experiments proves that they just used this as a cover to do any kind of experiment they wanted to on anybody, anything, because they did other things that didn't make any sense. So they said they wanted to make assassins, like mind control assassins and super spies and all this shit, and see how that they could use certain techniques or drugs to control other leaders of other countries like North Korea and Russia, and which is a bunch of bullshit, because you don't have to sexually abuse children to see if you can fucking control another country. Bullshit. They use this shit as a cover to go do whatever the fuck they want to anybody and get away with it. So let's see. They used a lot of drugs, LSD being one of them. They used some of the experiments, let's see. Some experiments involved insomnia, like keeping people awake, giving them drugs, doing shit to them. Any and every manner of experimentation. Torture them in that state. Give them concussions. To see what would happen to their memories or see what they could do to them. It was just ridiculous. Give them LSD. Even within the CIA, they would get, if you work for the CIA, they say that, some of these people became some of the victims themselves, because they would invite somebody in the office and then give them LSD in their coffee or water, and then write notes on what happens. One guy, what's his name? Shit, I already forgot. There's a dude that jumped out of the window and killed himself. Well, Frank Olson, they say. He was a scientist in the CIA. But they said that they also found, brain or head trauma. So they think that they killed him before he could. Then they pushed him out the window. So because they didn't want him to talk. Let's see. They used sex slaves. They made sex slaves. Supposedly Marilyn Monroe was MK Ultra, or mind controlled into having sex and seducing. They did this a lot. They made a lot of really beautiful women go, and who were able to be controlled in this manner anyway. I guess it's a hereditary trait. God, I cannot talk today. Anyway, they would make them go have sex with people, a lot of government leaders, and then tape it and then use it to blackmail them later. And of course, they'd still do that. You know that. So they weren't able to control JFK, so they killed him. I didn't know that about Marilyn Monroe. That was a nice little tidbit I learned. Not surprised at all. They would do things like put people into comas, drug-induced comas with paralytics, paralyze them like you do in the ICU and when people need to be ventilated artificially. They would do that kind of stuff, put some headphones on them and play them repetitive shit for months, weeks, whatever, and then see what happens to them, which is a bunch of shit. They would do stuff to kids. I'm not even going to go into detail, but any combination of that. They would abduct kids from people, and I know they still do. Oh, they did a saran gas. It's kind of current too. A saran gas experiment to see what would be the lethal dose on soldiers, no less. And mind you, this is all without informed consent or consent of any kind, or them even knowing that they were going to be given shit like this dangerous. They think, they're going to be good and do something, a little benign. But no, they put a gas mask on some soldiers and put I think they said 20 drops on their skin of the gas. They were testing to see if it was lethal, and they told that they could not take the mask off. And of course, they survived, thank God. But these are the kind of things they did. What else? Sensory deprivation, hypnosis was used a lot. Right now I'm reading a book by Terry Lovelace. He's Attorney General of Vermont. He's now retired and now he's speaking out. And I think he was an MK Ultra victim because he was in the Air Force and he had a bunch of abductions and sightings. And the OSI interview him and put him under hypnosis and drug him up. And he remembers he had two areas in his brain, one where he was trying to keep control and the other where he had to give in. And so he's telling us his story, and it sounds just like MK Ultra. So I think, and I've always thought, alien abductions, or a lot of it is the government, experimenting on us and scaring the shit out of us and trying to make many of us crazy, but, we're not. Let's see, what else? So they use these, for those of you who are new to this MK Ultra, and hopefully you're not, but if you are, anyway, welcome, you need to know anyway. They did this kind of thing in prisons, schools, hospitals, psych wards, brothels. The CIA even set up a brothel to record people, put them in there, blackmail them later. Experiment on them, give them drugs, beaches, people just laying on the beach. They would slip shit in their drinks, in bars, you name it, just everywhere. Let's see, they tortured them in all ways, and this includes children, remember, which this is why this was so hard for me to read. I mean, the stuff they did to people, I just want to throw up. Also, a lot of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, and Freemasonry, all that shit is connected. I mean, we all know that already, but they had their finger in all this back then too, and they still do. Let's see, there's a lot of victims that you can look up, like Sandra O'Brien, Bryce Taylor. I even came across one guy. What was his name? Oh, Paul Bonacci. That's Bonacci. If you want to look up his story in the Franklin scandal, he was abducted as a child and used as a sex slave by federal officials and in Bohemian Grove with Reagan and Bush and Hunter Thompson and all this shit. I mean, just, oh my God. It gets so deep and so crazy. I can't even take it anymore. But just read about him, Paul Bonacci and the Franklin scandal. That'll open your eyes to one little tiny percentage of it. So disgusting. And all the Satanism and all the bullshit and with the celebrities. This all ties in. This is probably when it all started. Let's see, what else? Let me stop this for a second so I can see where I'm going, not sound like a total dumbass. Okay, so let's see. So they like to use heroin addicts, and then give them heroin, and of course they created a nice little cycle there. But they did all kinds of things to them. I also seen they studied bird migration and bird diseases, and that's pretty interesting considering all the flus they came out with later. more recently, I should say, compared to then. Oh yeah, and they used a lot of electrical and microwave brain experiments, especially from afar, from a distance, which is pretty interesting, and controlling the mind that way. So they made a lot of progress doing this shit. And do you think they fucking stopped? Hell no. And it's pretty fucking scary, you know. Just my own experiences tell me a lot, and not saying I'm MK Ultra or whatever, but who the fuck knows? I've had weird alien abduction experiences that I question. Then my boys have the same fucking dream with involving the military and experiments. That's fucking weird. I made a video on that. That was really weird. They were like, I just heard them talking to each other, and they're like, one of my boys was like, oh yeah, that's why my dream changed. I was so confused. It's like he was having his own dream, but then he got pulled into my other son's dream, and then that's when I started to record them, because I was like, what the fuck? It included helicopters, military, pigs, experiments, scientists, viruses. I mean, that's not the kind of thing that 6-year-olds dream of, you know? Let's see. What else? Yeah, the microwave weapons and the controlling your brain through the, well, you know, Richie from Boston talked about so much that he just loves to mention, you know, through your phones and your computers, your TVs. Oh, fuck off. Sorry for my, well, not really sorry. If you don't like cuss words, you probably shouldn't come to my channel, but I love you anyway. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, playing the loops of repetitive statements like while these people were in a coma. Oh yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna bring this, I don't want to make this 20,000 years long. So it brings it to the current here, where now like some of the Canadian survivors at Montreal, in Montreal of, what university was that? Fuck. Anyway, they're going to court with that Alan Stein, the lawyer, who's very experienced in bringing these kind of cases to court. And what they want, like I said, is a public apology, not money, because they want to bring this, you know, to the public's eye, because it's so hidden, even now. Yeah, a lot of the documents during the Watergate scandal, the CIA director then, was it Richard Helms, which I know he's still in the government. He ordered them to destroy all those MKUltra documents. And the only reason why 20,000 documents survived is because they were filed in some financial drawer, like misfiled. So they found a lot of those. But of course, you know, that's a lot of it's hidden. Oh yeah, and they did a lot of this under front organizations like, say, the Red Cross, or, you know, some kind of help organization that was really a CIA organization, which I'm sure the Red Cross is. No doubt about that. Let's see, what else? Let me stop this a second. Oh yeah, before I wanted to move on into the Canadian lawsuit that's bringing us current, is when I found out, like I've always known about MKUltra, as most of you, I'm sure, but did you know that they would abduct children and then use them to lure in other children, and then they use them for all kinds of sexual demonic bullshit? I mean, I can't even imagine. So one of the stories is, I've read, well, actually a lot of stories, where it was routine of them to abduct a child early on, totally use and abuse these poor kids for sex, and then have them lure in other kids in vans with cages inside to tell other kids, oh, we have candy, and oh, come watch my TV in the van and all this, and they would lure them in there and cage them up and keep them forever. I am so, like, disgusted and mortified. You know, that's why I don't let my kids go outside without me having my eyeball on them. I don't let them ride a bike in the neighborhood or anything like that. I can't. It's too scary. Even when I was a child in the 80s, I remember looking for the bus, seeing if it was coming to pick us up at the bus stop, looking down the alley, and this is in California, and seeing some child molester pull up. And he's like, I got some candy, you want to come in the car? Like a typical, I have some candy. That's probably how this all started, I'm sure, because it sounds so cliche, but That's exactly what he said. And my fat friend, she like was all for it. She's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, no, Tiffany. And Tiffany would probably be fucking dead if not for me. She was ready to jump in that fucking car. I gave her my candy at home because shit, man. I mean, it's funny, it was not funny, but yeah, that's how all this shit, and who knows if he was part of all that. I have no idea. But back to the Canadian thing. So anyway, so the psychiatrist who headed those Canadian experiments in Montreal is from 1957 to 1964. He didn't even know he was being used by the CIA, but who gives a fuck? He was such a bad person. He can go fuck himself too. He is paid $69,000 a year over those years, and there was a Montreal University hospital that patients who got admitted for mild things like postpartum depression, anxiety, mild depression, stuff like that, for help, just for counseling, stuff like that, they came out all fucked up, like losing their ability to manage their bodily functions, forget how to talk, forget who their parents are, who their families are. I mean, totally fucked up. Many of them were children. They were sexually experimented on as well as adults. A lot of them, the children were used for sex for federal officials. They recorded that, then they would blackmail them later. And, this is how they control a lot of our people now. Don't you forget about that. Oh my God, I am just so disgusted. If I wasn't disgusted before, I'm now more disgusted and I want to just like vomit. I guess there's a movie called Fifth Estate that is on this Canadian ordeal here and the victims, which I hear is a good thing to watch, and I will watch it. And then there's the Sleep Room, the Shock Doctrine also. So that's where they get this Monarch mind control program, because this stemmed off of here. Let's see. So this guy, Mr. Cameron, Dr. Cameron, idiot, he also headed the Nuremberg medicinal trials from World War II. Remember when Mengele experimented in Nazi Germany? I mean, God, this is probably all connected, no doubt. Come on now. All of these Zionists. I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry. My ADD. I don't take medication. Shit. So you just have to suffer with my fucking up and down and back and forth bullshit. I don't know what the fuck I was trying to say, but anyway. Let's see. Yeah, anyway, so this guy liked to use to paralyze his patients, put them in a coma, one of them lasting for 3 months. Oopsie. Playing those loops of those repetitive statements like, I am useless. Like, can you imagine hearing that? I am useless. Like, constantly, like, for months, weeks. Oh, my God. That would drive you insane. And the poor children. I can't even anymore. Well, these are the ones that are going to court right now. Oh, yeah, and then Dr. Cameron, for his notable works, he became the first leader or chairman of the American and Canadian Psychiatric Association. Would you believe that? Unbelievable. This idiot. Of course, he denied it all later. Come on. It was McGill University in Montreal. That's what it is. That's where he did these experiments. Of course, nobody had any signed any consents, but they did. They were forced to sign under in these mental states non-disclosure agreement. Do you believe that shit? Unfucking believable. Yeah. So these people with Alan Stein, they're suing in a class action. It's both the survivors and the families of survivors, because they're starting to age now. They want a public apology, which will bring it out into the light. Because it continues. They all say it continues. And that's the most disgusting of all. Yeah, that's all I have to say on this. And of course, now, it's connected to all these, all this demonic shit, all this Freemasonry, all this government shit. I mean, this is all connected, and this is where it all started. And I think I just want to vomit. I don't know about you guys. If you guys get into this and read about, especially that Paul Bonacci guy and the Franklin scandal, that just gives you one little story out of so many. I couldn't even read all of his stuff. And the multiple personality disorders. I wonder. I tried to Google that and see when that was first coined, the term, and I seen that they changed the. Oh my goodness, my brain! Talk about mind control. Fuck, I can't even think. They changed the diagnosis from multiple personality disorder (MPD) to dissociative something disorder, and it's like, what? And I've heard of that, but I was like, when did they do that? And that's more recent that they changed that. And I'm pretty sure this happened because of the CIA, not because this was something that naturally happened in the population. Come on. Anyway, that's about it. I'm done. I'm nauseous, and if you read too much into this, you will be too. But yep, it's real. It's not a conspiracy. Look it up. I did, and I can't say I'm happy I did, but I'm glad I know a little more. So you guys have a great weekend, Memorial Day, whatever, and I'll talk to you later.